All right, guys. Hello, hello, hello. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday and hope everything is going well for you at home. Do let me know if you can hear me. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Give me a hello in the chat, a nice little wave if you guys are hearing me and having a good time already. And oh my gosh, Sabrina, it's 4:10 a.m. Please make sure you get some sleep. I'm so glad you joined us today. But yeah, I'm so excited to see you guys, to hear you guys, and to talk about today's really important updates. The gist of it is essentially over the last few weeks, I've been collecting so much feedback from everybody who has been utilizing our gamification project and really just balancing the feature set that we have and also balancing the usability of the projects, right? We want to have a lot of different features, but for people who are just brand new into our projects, we want to make sure there's something for them to use that's effective yet very easy to handle. So with that, I put a lot of thoughts and a lot of effort into how can I design a free version of the gamification project with enough features for it to be useful and for it to be intentional enough for you to slot into any kind of productivity tool that you're using, and at the end of the day still provide as good of an experience as our enhanced versions, which obviously our patrons have helped us so much with and are enjoying, hundreds of members are enjoying every day. So today I'm going to spend the first bit of the session really showing you exactly how duplication works, what are the challenges that went into building all of this, and of course also building a lot of it from scratch just to show you how it could work, right? So we can go through those use cases together. So I'm super happy to be here with you guys. I'm not gonna make you wait any longer. We're gonna get straight into it, and let's do that right now. Do let me know if at any point I start cutting out or my stream starts behaving a bit badly, but hopefully you guys hear me clear and I am able to share my screen with you all today. So let me go and share my screen. Let's do that. So right here, that's the wrong screen to share, but let's go and do my gamification project. Share that screen. Perfect. So I just want to give a quick brief of like how this project worked before I'm going to change everything now. Basically, this project worked is that there was a landing page, all right, and I kind of showed you how the whole thing looks, how some of the sections worked, right? There were top players, you would manage your success plan, and then you would be able to build strong habits, and then you'd be able to get started for free, and you click the duplicate me, and then you can duplicate the whole thing. Now, the reason why we kind of buried the duplicate parts in a different section of this whole page is because generally you can't have a linked view be at a higher level, so a previous page or at the same page even as the original database. That was just a Notion kind of quirk that was a bit frustrating, or let's say a lot frustrating for creators like myself when we try to develop these kind of systems for other people to enjoy. But Notion has released an update since. I think it was passed just last week that seems like it has potential to change all that. So today I want to walk you through exactly how that change works and make sure that you guys know exactly what's going into the gamification project and give you guys a chance to give me live feedback on what should be taken out or what should be added in, just depending on what you guys might want. And of course, a lot of this has already been built, so I'm just duplicating some of my efforts, but I just want to show you guys exactly how you guys could or would do certain things. And of course, if you guys do want to build things from scratch, feel free to follow along and I'll show you exactly how to do that. So normally you would go into the duplicate me and you would just press the duplicate button on the top right. But what I'm going to do today, and it's going to be a little bit different because I want to prove or test to see if the fix for the duplication is really true. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this page with myself. I'm going to share it with a test account I have, just to ensure that it works the way I want it to work. So I'm going to add, who I'm going to search for is going to be test, and that's going to give myself access. I'm going to say can only view. I'm going to invite that. Perfect. And I'm just going to open a new window for test. You guys aren't going to see this yet, but I'm basically just ensuring that when I go to my test accounts, I can duplicate the page. So let me also share that screen then. Okay, let's not lag too badly. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys my testing procedure, and I think that's really important to know. So basically I have an account that's just plain empty, and I have just shared the gamification project with this account. And the reason why I do this is because I don't want any duplication within my accounts to cause any linked database errors. One thing that Notion does is that if you guys do a duplication and yet there's various bugs with that particular template, whether is that you have a linked view and the original view in the same page, or you have even a page above. Generally, when they try to duplicate that linked view and they can't find the original database to duplicate at the same time, it would then choose to actually link to the original, the master database, which is not productive because you want to get a version that you can edit. So this is why I do this, and I make sure that there's no duplication errors even if it doesn't work the way I expect it to work. So I'm going to duplicate this now to my workspace and give it just a little bit of minutes and then see how that works for us. So let's go and do that. So because this project is pretty big, pretty huge, it might take a little bit of time, but looks like it's loading now. And the first thing I'm going to test is to see if this link actually links to my original, which is still sitting in this package, or if it links to the page that's sitting outside. So let's click on this. Awesome. So it links within this page. So it looks like it's behaving exactly as I want it. And I'm going to now try this again. I'm going to check another link. I'm going to see if I would then be linked out or linked in. So let's try the success plan. I am linked in. So awesome. Okay, perfect. So that works really well. So I've proven that. And if you have any questions about what I was trying to prove, and I'll try to explain that a bit more clearly. But we can now go back into our our gamification project, and then ensure that we can now start building. So let's start building from now, and then let's see how that works. So what we're going to do now is we're going to completely change how this works. I want to make it so simple that anybody can come in and start using. And I think what starts is that I just need to have a very detailed, a very simplified user experience. I'm going to need a leaderboard. I'm going to need a quest database, and only a quest database. I'm going to strip out all the be intentional stuff. So there's no goals, there's no key results, no areas, no nothing else of that. Just a plain quest list. And then I'm also going to simplify the naming conventions and the behaviors of how you would do tags, because I realized that if I do away with all the be intentional stuff, at least for this version, it's a lot easier to understand, right? It's just a formula that links you and gives you the various XP and gold rewards. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove a bit of the stuff that's not important in here yet. So I'll keep that there for now, that little bit. I even might keep this this section here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to now reorientate all this stuff. So instead of making it scroll down and scroll down and scroll down, I'm actually going to now just reimagine this as almost a leaderboard space. So what I'm going to do here, let's see, I'm going to do some line breaks, and again, if I'm lagging even the slightest, just let me know. But basically I'm going to do some line breaks there, and for now I'm going to hide this under toggle so that I don't lag too much. And a big hack here is that if you hide a database under a toggle, it actually doesn't load the database anymore for that time being. So show hide, it doesn't show that database anymore, and therefore the resources are not going to be as large. So that's a big hack for you. And just in case people come in while we're doing this, or say making big changes, come back in 1 hour. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to send this over here. So anybody that comes to this page will know that, hey, you know, there's some big changes. If they come back, they'll get a lot of great benefits. So this is top players, and I'm just gonna make it very simple. I'm gonna delete all of these. Answers of why, what, how. Doesn't make sense, doesn't need it, because I want to make it so simplified and so easy to use. So what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna have task, which is breakdown of how. And what I'm going to do here is if you make two text rows and you just put it on the side, this actually can help you segment and parse things out before you move the database in. Normally you can't move a database and drag it to the side of, so for example, I can't drag it here, it doesn't work. But if I already have text that's already partitioned into 2 columns, then I'm able to drag it under the text, just like so. So that's a big hack for you if you want to know exactly how do I make those views that are so complicated, you know, side by side and stuff like that. This is how. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to now put this daily reflection recap into there as well, into the side, just like so. And one thing that you guys will realize just very quickly is that there's nothing in daily quest, and it currently filters by today, which is, you know, if it's showing or not. Let's fix that. Let me show you how that works. And because a lot of people ask me in the community how that works, and I just want to really show on stream live, step by step, and just make sure that it's not confusing in terms of the process. So basically what we do here is we go to the all view and we realize that there is missing entries for July. Well, how does that work? Well, we go to our super package and we go to our core views, and again, this is well documented inside your space as well. We can go to your core views, you can go to your dailies. So let's go there. So going to our dailies, and then we're going to our daily quest. Awesome. And you see in this version, I currently have all the daily quests up to July. So basically what I explained, if you ever go into the daily quest and reflection, is basically all you need to do is just take these entries. So July, Control C or Command C, go back to your version, go to the bottom, press new, click out, and then Control V. So simple as that. And then now you have your 25-minute task that you're going to copy, and then you're going to paste in all these cells. You paste that there, and then now they're all properly tagged and ready to go. It's just that simple. So with that done, now that there's daily quests, let's figure out what's the best way to present all this information. Well, I want this to be as easy as possible, so I'm not even going to show any upstream properties. So I'm going to say no upstream, and maybe I may even delete upstream. There's no concept of upstream, downstream. I'm simply going to make this as bare bones as possible maybe even no late property, but we'll figure out how we might do that. So basically I'm removing area. This is irrelevant. This is going to be scary for people who don't know what they're doing. I like calling the target date the due date recently, and that's because it means the same thing. The target date is basically the day you're going to do it, or the due dates might be more intuitive, because I see other creators like August also like using that wording instead. The closing date is the date that you finished it, which is important for the whole formula. But again, we can consider if that can be taken out or not. We're going to be removing all the various upstream and downstream. So we're going to be removing this upstream, downstream, just remove all that stuff. There's no need for that in terms of for the basic version. It's scary, people are worried about it, they don't understand it. So let's remove all this stuff. And what we're going to do also here is we're going to make sure that we are also cleaning out the data. So if I go to success plan here and I let it load for a second, we're going to remove everything that doesn't have to do with request. So I'm going to delete this. Oh, and then I'm going to go into this view and just make sure that there are no ongoing things that are not deleted. I'll make sure that I am also showing everything. So I'm going to remove this filter because I believe there's some goals. Nope, oh yeah, there are some goals that need to be deleted. So we're going to delete these as well. Let's do that. So that's deleted. Anything in key results, we're going to delete as well. So we're just really stripping this down to the bare bones: a quest list, earning gold and experience points, and then we're making sure that all the additional value features that people might want that don't have to do with building the success plan database itself, that's the stuff that we want to make sure we're helping out with. So let me show you how that might work. So for now, we might use task as this way, but let's call this quests, right? Quests. And we're going to have two different views for it, and I'm going to show you how that looks. But for now, let's just quickly go into the rest of the database and just make sure that all these things are just cleaned, so people don't have to worry about this. We're also going to delete all these extra properties, so people don't have to worry about those either. We might even remove impact value just to make sure that it's as useful as possible without as much features as possible. So let's go into projects. I believe there's a bunch of stuff here to delete as well, so that's all when we deleted. And then again, I'm just doing Control A and delete, so it's super simple. So I'm deleting this as well. And then now we have this quest list, this task. I'm also going to double check to see the all view and see what's happening there. So these are all tasks, that's perfect. I'm going to close this. So I'm going to delete this as well. Awesome. So now we have the quest list here. So we're going to call this quest also, just so that it's as easy as possible. I'm going to open these to see what other things I can strip down. So punctuality, there's no need for target quarter because not necessary here. Percentage progress, I think kind of makes sense, which is fine. But I'm going to show actually a different version of this because I think it's going to be a lot more meaningful with that different version, and I'll show you how that looks. But basically, actually no, let's delete this as well. I don't think this is necessary at this moment. Difficulty number, that's fine. Tag plus difficulty, I'll show you what that means. This is basically one way I use formulas, which is summarizing all the information together. But the base, gold, reward, etc., I think that can be kept. There's no need for badges, so we're going to delete that. No upstream label, no upstream status, no upstream anything. So you see that we already have streamlined just so much. And then the remaining properties, I'm going to explain them probably one by one so that you can know exactly how the system works as the most basic bare bones version of it, in essence, to make it as easy and seamless as possible. So let's do that. We're also going to delete all these new goals, new key results, etc. So let's delete those. So new key result, delete that. We're just going to keep new task or new quest. Let's call it that. New quest. Okay, so the consequence of this is now that this is really cleaned up, right? And we could even have the punctuality not play a factor anymore, but I think it's good. I think it's okay. We don't have to worry about this. I'm also going to add a how to use section for I'm going to probably add a how to use section right here so that it's kind of balanced. So let's do that here. So we're going to duplicate this section. So I did that with Command or Control D. I drag this over and I say how to use. This section displays your daily habits as daily quests with appropriate progression. So we're showing you how done you are today with your day. All right, so simple as that. And at the end, we're going to be able to see your outputs in terms of how your work has been translated into gold rewards. So far so good. You guys have any questions so far? Alice is saying I am LinkedIn. I think this is potentially be better than LinkedIn. Like honestly, the thought process here is if you're able to like, I want this to be eventually like a really cool social system, a social network system where not only you are actively being a participant in showing like all the work you're doing and all the progression you're doing in life and in work, but you're also able to expand and share exactly what you did to get to your proficiency level so that everyone can be as productive or as, you know, as engaged as they know exactly the steps that took you to from 0 to hero. And I think that's pretty meaningful and pretty interesting. So yeah, so that's what I'm thinking about. So the quest can be changed into task, into a calendar view. So let's call this all quests so it's easy to see. And then there's also a table view. So quests, so just depending on how the user wants to see it. This should be a table view, so let's do that. And what we're gonna do, and this is super easy, it's just hide some properties. So what we're going to do here is just going to show the gold reward. We're going to show the impacts for now, and we'll think about if we want to remove that or not. We're going to show nothing else. So, and this is going to filter only on quests. Awesome. So this is going to be here. This impact value is going to be hidden. The status value is going to be shown. And then this gold reward is going to be shown. So, and of course we're going to hide this type because everyone knows it's going to be a task. So that's not a problem. So this is also another way that you can visualize this data, which then makes it so that it's very easy for you to decide what you want to work on next. And you can also then add the date that you're supposed to do it, the due date. So let's add that property, the DO date, and we can add that there. So you can see exactly how that works. And on top of that, if you guys want to add a property that shows perhaps, you know, maybe you want to sort by the ascending dates, which is doing that already, the impact dates, and we might also want to sort by, well, we probably want to show things that are non-complete only. So we're going to say, and status is not complete. Perfect. And another cool thing that you can do here that I'm going to showcase is you can basically have this drag to finish. So you don't have to necessarily go in and finish it, but you can just hand in the quest by simply dragging it to another database. And I showcased that in another video or another in another video, but I can showcase this here as well and really show you guys how that might work. So let me show that now. So let's also make this into a muscle icon because this is executional. Awesome, and this is just a overall view. But what we can do here is if we duplicate this linked view, and I mentioned in previous videos, when you duplicate linked views, you're actually going to be retaining the properties of it. So when I duplicate this linked views, we're going to say we're going to have a section that's called hand in quest probably. So let's do that. So let's have a section that says hand in quest. Okay, actually let's make this more fun. We're going to call this the recently completed or hand in quest. So we're going to make this, we're going to move this up there. And we're going to change this from a header 2 to probably a header 3, so it's smaller. We're going to call this hand in your quests. So basically what happens is you can drag from one to another to just hand in, and let me show you how that works. So if we change status is complete and we add a filter for closing date is today, basically what happens is you see that this was ready to start. If I drag this here into this database, now it will become complete. So as simple as that, is really easy, and then you'll see that the closing date is now switched to today. So today's July the 4th, for me at least. For you guys might be July the 3rd. But then once you do that, then it's complete, and it's really easy like that. And if you ever want to move it back, you can just Control Z, or I guess not Control Z right now, but because we already had that. So what I can do is if I clear this closing dates, so if I clear it, and then I change this from status complete to in progress again, it'll then pop up back up here. So this is just a really easy way for you to manage your quest, and I think then we don't need any of the other properties. View, actually what we can do here, then we can also say, because I like how this looks, to be very honest, you're kind of seeing if you finish something on time or not. I mean, you guys can tell me, do you guys like the card view better, or do you guys like the list view? I'll do whatever depending on what you guys decide on that. But basically we're going to show like completed today, and then we're also going to do another view that says completed this week. So or wins today, and then we're going to make one that says wins this week. Wins this week. So basically what happens is there a medal? We can use a medal to differentiate this. So that's a medal, and then wins this week. We'll then show that. We're gonna delete everything else again because it doesn't matter. Okay, and then list view, card view, so show you both. All right, perfect. I'll do both. So win this week, we're gonna do, this is a list view. And by the way, bye Sabrina. Sorry for not seeing that message, but hope you have a great sleep and don't tire yourself out too much. So this is list view also. So what happens for the wins this week is that when we filter it, we're gonna say closing date is it's on or after 1 week ago. So basically it's going to show everything that you won this week. For example, if I want to say, hey, this was actually done, you know, within the last week, so I'm going to choose a closing date, probably like June 30th, and it changes to complete, then it will show up here as wins this week. So that's just something very easy for that you can try and do. So again, we're going to undo that. So we can show in progress, we're going to delete this closing date. And one thing that I might do as well later on in a bit is also see how that can look different in terms of the properties that we're showcasing. But for now, let's make sure that this works in terms of a gallery view. So call it card view. We're going to save that. And now we're going to change this to gallery. And I'm going to double check how this looks if I drag it in here. The issue of gallery view is very tough to drag something in here. That's the reason why. So now you just learn together with me, right? You don't want a gallery view because it's just really hard to drag something in there. So more likely than not, you wouldn't have a gallery view to represent this. You would probably have a gallery view to represent the wins this week though. So let me change how that looks. So wins today, we don't need to differentiate list view or not because it doesn't matter. But wins this week, because you're not going to drag it in, then this is probably going to be a gallery view. So wins this week. So let's redo that process. So we had this as complete on the 30th. We're going to make this into a complete item. Let's see what happens here. So we have a filter. Closing is from 1 week ago. Is on or after. Perfect. So that's showing there. And perhaps, just perhaps, we might want this to be a longer list. So we make this medium. And then we hide the preview because we don't need a preview. None. And that looks pretty good. I mean, we might also change this just a little bit just to have the closing date show instead of the late or on time or not. It's just up to you depending on how you want to showcase this information. So the beauty about Notion is that you could make these changes on the fly, so it's completely up to you how you want to do it. But yeah, so at a glance, I know that on June 30th, right, I finished a high priority quest, high impact quest. It was took me 3 chunks of 25 minutes. Very easy. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure that, you know, I walk through at least enough of how this system actually works, so anybody that wants to modify it can modify it. I think that's something that is really important, that I want to ensure that people know exactly how this works. So let's call it success plan. Breakdown of how. So it's on quest. We're going to quests. Okay, so that's breakdown of how. And by the way, guys, I'm also going to probably build the Pokemon theme, or at least one theme for the free version from now on, just so that there is the option for that theming if people so wish to. But basically, what I'm going to show now is how this kind of links in with the system right now, and how we can change, you know, what things could look, for example. So let me show you how that works. So I'm going to also going to remove this because I think all these things could be just taken away for now. I don't want to, again, scare people off. All right. And for this, I might like the visual view instead, just so that it's easier for people to understand and see. So that's the visual view, and I'm going to drag that to the top. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do is, all this stuff is outdated, and that's perfect because I'm actually going to show exactly how it works. So I'm going to now, yeah, there's a lot of stuff down here as well. So I understand that it might have been a bit complex, but hopefully after we finish walking this through, it'll be a lot easier for you to understand. And if you want to get started, you can get started immediately, because I'll be also sharing you the link for this, and I'd love that early feedback in terms of how you might feel about using the system, at least in the free version. And if you have any questions, I'd like to know. add the timestamp, the exact moments you did it, right? Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool as well. Right now, it's not necessarily that intuitive for sure. So I think that'd be super awesome if that could be done. Yeah, so what needs to happen is I need to drag these databases, these original databases, right, into the main space so that it's easy for the user to then go and manage that. So I'm going to move to, actually I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to highlight and I'm going to drag this into this breadcrumb up here, which will automatically move it there. So simple as that. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to then hide everything else. So I'm only going to have one duplicate page from now on. I don't need to have so many duplicate pages, which is really good and really seamless because there's just so many different layers now that it's getting really unintuitive. So what I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to take all this stuff and then I'm going to move it also into this first and then into the main project page. So let's do that. So I'm going to highlight this. Ooh. I'm going to highlight this and then I'm going to drag this into the main project page. So now everything's moved over there. Perfect. And I can close this now. I can go back to here. And essentially, before I delete all this stuff, I'm just going to make sure everything works the way I want it to work. So let's now move these things into this page. So basically the situation I'm trying to build is that you could not have to change anything, but if you do need to change anything, it's all here for you. All the customization opportunities and options are here for you if and so wish, if and when you need to change anything moving forward. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you gamification tags. So basically how this works is that there's currently a system where you can assign your tasks to either 5 minutes, 25 minutes, you know, big wins, huge wins, etc., so that it's really easy for you to essentially expand your database and say like, hey, I want to have different experience points that matter for different kind of tasks, whether they be big or small. That's too confusing for someone who's brand new to our project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything but 5 and 25-minute tasks. So it's really easy for people to just understand, hey, there's only 5 and there's only 25 minutes. Forget everything else. So we're going to do that. We're also going to remove, and this is something that maybe you guys can educate me on, is that I'm still thinking about it, is do I also remove all the other properties for the other people so that it's just not confusing, right? You only see your own character and the expansion opportunities are a bit limited. You're gonna have to learn how to do it manually, and I'm not leaving in all those different things for you guys to think about, just so that it's not perplexing. So that's something to wonder about. But basically how this works is we're going to show you this. So I'm going to delete all these properties. That's irrelevant for now, so that we're not showing things that are unnecessary. And I think I'll leave one expansion category. I don't want to like completely remove everything else. I'll leave one expansion category, but I think we can remove these things for now too, because it's just too much. Let's just do that. So basically it's super simple. You're either choosing a 5-minute task or 25-minute task. You're choosing a base experience point, you're choosing base gold, and I have a formula that basically checks if all the roll-ups of the 25-minute tasks are coming in. So remember, for daily quests, we have a relation to this database that says, is this a 25-minute task or not, for both success plan and daily quest. And then we roll up the information, which is the difficulty number and also the multiplier, which we then feed into the total EXP, which says, hey, you know, we want to add the EXP multiplier, right? Plus the sorry, We want to multiply by the base experience points, right? But the multiplier is going to help us determine how much experience there is. And in terms of gold, the difficulty gold bounty is the thing that helps us calculate how much gold we should earn, and if we should earn gold at all, if we checkmark that. So that's just something that's super simple. I'm going to leave this here for expansion. So let's say for below is for expansion only. So if you want to remove that, you could, right? So basically we make it very simple and very seamless here if you want to change that. Another thing that we're going to make it very easy for the user to change, and I'm going to do this here, is changing their name, personalizing the system. So again, I want this all to be on one page so people don't have to worry about flipping here and there. So let's keep doing this. I'm going to say, hey, you know, we're going to do so these are all gamification tasks. That's fine. I'm actually going to open the user guide because I've already developed a lot of the important and useful views that I'm going to use here for customization. But of course, I'm also showing you how you could build it by yourself even if you didn't have it to start. And also guys, I'm actually going to move this over here so I can see your chat live. 1 second. Perfect. Let's hide this and let's go over here. Perfect. So now we're going to talk about the customization. So basically I'm just gonna take this section here so that they don't need to worry about it. I'm gonna copy that, so Control C, and then I'm going to now put a new section that says get started for free. You know, they're gonna duplicate all this stuff, so we're going to actually I'm gonna take this section. I'm not gonna get rid of it, but essentially I'm just going to move this stuff down into here, and then what we're going to do here is I'm just going to paste the information I just copied over. So this initialization, and then we're going to say sign up for a free Notion account. That's awesome. Scroll to the top right and click duplicate. Scroll to the top right and click duplicates, and all this stuff is going to be just removed for now because I don't think we need this currently, and I'm going to do the code documentation within this page. So let's now do that. So as an existing user, let's move that to this side. We're going to delete that, and then we're going to now say we're going to delete this as well because I don't think this is necessary anymore. Perfect. So once that's done, we're going to now show this divider here, and we're going to show we're going to drag this over. So you see that now what we've built is that there's the quest, there's the daily reflection and recap. Let's call this daily quest as well. I'll figure out how to rename those, but basically you have two sections that you can build your task database with, your leaderboard with, and then what you can do is you can change the name of your characters. So basically when you expand this, you can change the name of your character here, and you can change the name of your character here. So that's just super easy for you guys to edit anything that you guys might need to change this to your initials or not. But actually, because there's no initials anymore, we can just remove all these things, which is super awesome. So let's remove all these things. So there's no YA, no nothing like that, with just changing your name. So it's super easy. Yeah, I think that would be the process. No, actually, let's leave that in there. The reason why is because I think some people might still want to know how that works, and I think it's still useful to tag it to yourself. So let me do that. So undoing, yeah. So this is here, YA, gonna be quite useful. Perfect. So there's still the process of updating this and changing your character to your name, which is great. So let's do that. I'm lagging a lot. Hopefully you guys don't see the lag too much on your side, but oh. I'm gonna refresh my screen. Okay, perfect, it works. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So now we have this awesome section that just basically helps them orientate this, which then that's it for initialization, right? All they need to do is just add new quests. So I think that's really easy, at least in terms of like them getting started. I don't think it's difficult at all. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go about and essentially add on information here. So there's a lot of code documentation that I could do, and the things I'm going to do now to really show you guys like some more nitty-gritty of how this really works, and basically explain things so that it's easy for the user to use as well. So basically this is the explanation parts, and then I'm going to just segment it out, and then I'm going to also show you different look and feels. So let me show this. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to show different look and feels. So different look and feel, different looks and feel. So basically I can show the command center, which is how that could be looking and feeling. I'm also going to show a theme. So we're going to call this a theme, themes. And I'll dive into that real soon. By the way, guys, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Like, I'm really happy to explain like details of exactly what I'm doing when I do it. So just let me know if you have questions. Like, I really am here to answer any questions you might have. So initialization, let's make this into a header 2. So these are kind of formatting things. And we're going to call this a divider. And then we're going to have this section. Okay, perfect. So basically now we're going to do some code documentation. So code documentation. This section for customization purposes only. So basically, I'm going to show exactly how this database works. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to show this in terms of a table. So there's a few properties I want to talk about. One is called punctuality. Another one is called, I also want to talk about the tags. So these are all the codes that I care about. Another one that I want to talk about is, actually let's open this in a new window, a new tab rather, so I can easily show how this works. So another one that I want to talk about in terms of formulas is difficulty number. So difficulty number is there. Difficulty number. So this is going to get into advanced formulas, guys. So if you guys always want to learn about advanced formulas and you didn't know how it worked, this is essentially going to be the guide. So hopefully that makes sense to you and you guys can understand exactly how it works. We're also going to talk about what was that? That was the plus and minus. So plus and minus. Perfect. And then we're also going to be talking about the multiplier, which I have right there. Cool. So the punctuality property, this is a really interesting one. So basically what happens is, Alice is too young for advanced formulas. Okay, so this punctuality formula is huge and it's really convoluted. So basically, this one might actually be, I'll cover this maybe later, but for now, I'll add the code snippet. So this gets pasted in there and we're going to wrap the code. So punctuality is basically checks for the difference between the due dates and the closing dates. Closing dates, and returns how many days early or late you have completed the task, the quest, or on time. I will explain this one in detail later actually, because this one is actually very, very complex and I don't think it should have been, that's not the first one I should have started with, so sorry about that. Let's actually do the other ones. I think difficulty number is really easy. So code, I'm gonna add the code chunk, and this is difficulty number. So you see this is much simpler, it's only that. So basically I'm showing like what happens in this code. So this one's really easy. Difficulty number basically checks if the quest is complete, and then if the difficulty level is 1, then if yeah, so then if difficulty level is empty, like you did not pick how difficult this quest will be, defaults to 1. Otherwise, difficulty. Let's actually put this bracket here. Defaults to 1. Otherwise, translate it to a number. Okay, so basically the difficulty level here, the difficulty level is just a drop down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10. So basically, whenever you select one of these, what this formula is doing then is just saying that, hey, if I select 3 and let's say I make it complete, so I did complete, and this 3 becomes 3 here. Simple as that. If I change this to 5, then a 5 becomes a 5 here. So it's really simple in that way. And basically the difficulty number for me just helps me calculate the gold. So this property is rolled up to the gamification tags database to help calculate how much gold reward you should earn for this quest. So that's how I calculate for gold rewards. Multiplier is how I calculate for experience points. So let's do another code chunk. So the multiplier here is saying that, hey, you know, how difficult is it? So everything is based on how difficult it is, but this one also has a plus or minus property, which is what I'm going to be explaining later, which is the punctuality. So multiplier basically checks if the quest is complete, then add the difficulty number plus the punctuality as a multiplier to how much experience you should earn for the quest. So very simple. This one is just, you can see if the property of status is, if the status is complete, then add the difficulty number plus the plus or minus. So let's explain the plus or minus here. So actually let's drag this down. And we're also going to drag this punctuality down so that I can explain this after, because that's a big hefty one. And we're going to take out the basicallys, so it's just cleaner. Checks, if the so checks, and this checks. Perfect. So let's explain the plus or minus. So this one's a really fun property in my opinion. Again, these are kind of extra, but I like throwing these extra tidbits. So basically for this thing, this code, paste this, checks if the checks for the difference between the due dates and the closing dates multiplies by a factor 0.05 in my situation, and then by the difficulty number. So basically what happens here is that depending on how late or early you were, right, in terms of the date between in days, so if you were, you know, behind 2 days, you know, early a day, whatever, I multiply it by a factor to make it smaller so it's not making such a big difference. But then I also multiply it by the difficulty number just to say, hey, you know, the higher the difficulty and the more early you were, then the better it is, right? So actually let me say that in layman's terms, what I am calculating here is depending on how many days early or late you are in completing this task, we are multiplying by a factor to make the adjustments smaller, and then multiplying by the difficulty level so that the effort needed on the task is on the quest is accounted for when adjusting the rewards based on punctuality. So punctuality is a I would call it is a view property. It's a view property that checks for difference, and so basically all this does is just basically show you information. It's not necessarily used in any calculations, if that makes sense. Just for information only. For information only. So that's like the basic code documentation for the success plan. So let me add that as the success plan documentation. So toggle, let's say success plan success plan. I'm gonna add the trophy here. So if you have any questions about those formulas, I'm happy to answer them, but that's basically how the success plan works. These are all the properties that kind of relate into there and then give you your output. Okay, and then the next bit that I'm going to explain is actually going to be about here. So the next one I want to explain is the gamification tags, and then I might go into the gamification leaderboard later. But definitely I'm gonna have to go to daily quests and explain that. Okay, so I want to explain the gamification tags as well. So if you guys want to really design your own gamification based on what I've had built out for you already, I think that's awesome, and I think you should definitely do that if you have the time and the attention. Or of course you can just use our already built packages. But basically I do want to show like how this works so that it makes sense to you guys. So it's not just something that I understand, but something that everyone understands. So if we dive into here, and then we go into this page. So let's go. I'm going to also remove all these things so that's not, so it's hidden. So I'm gonna call this task key results. I think it's fine. Okay, so basically what happens is we have a total EXP and we have a total gold. So let's take those out. So so this also doesn't have a lot of things anymore, so I can just remove all of them. So I just need YA stuff. So YA plus this is fine. Just gonna delete this. Okay, so it's really simplified now, which is awesome. So we have a total EXP, so let's do that. So I'm gonna highlight that, bold that. So we have total EXP, and then we want to show a code block. So totally adds the EXP multiplier rolled up from both success plan and daily quests, multiplying it by the base EXP property that you have that you can define, you can adjust, that you can define and adjust. Perfect. So that's going to be the total EXP, right? And then now let's talk about the total gold. So the total gold is, oh, this is really interesting because I also check if we should, actually this needs to be done something. So order of operations is important. So you might want to put a bracket around all this stuff, which will change the value obviously. So let's do that. So just paste that there. Total gold. Let's see what this does in total gold. So basically I need to remove all these things other than YA, because I think that's the only thing that matters. And then we're going to add this stuff, difficulty. So nothing else needs to happen. We just need to have, I think I deleted too much. Yeah, I deleted too much. So here is there, and then property, there's two YAs, and then I'm going to now delete this stuff. Perfect. And then time place gold, otherwise show 0. Okay, perfect. So this is how total gold works. So we're going to show a code chunk. So total gold checks if the property gold, if the checkbox gold is checked, then add the difficulty gold bounty rolled up from both success plan and daily quests, multiplying by the base gold that you can define and adjust. So very super simple. That's exactly how you would do it, and then that gives you the output. So that's really easy to, at least in my opinion. And then basically when you output that, you can then go and go ahead and keep adding things on. I think I'm going to also add in the expansion, just because I don't want people to be confused for adding new things. I'm debating. I'm really debating. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to see like what's going to be the intersection of like complex and ease of use. I'm not exactly certain just yet, but I think at least for this formula, I'm going to leave that in just so that it's easier for the user to handle. I don't know. I need to think about this. Or I can just say, if you want to add new users, you will need to do two things. First, you will need to add new tags as rows to signify 25 minutes or 5-minute tasks. The second thing is inside total EXP and total gold, you will also need to add in the roll-ups for their respective EXP multipliers and difficulty gold bounties. You will need to also relate their success plan and daily quests into the gamification tags database. And then what you would also want to do is, here, let me just double check, roll up. So you also want to roll up the multiplier and the difficulty number. Roll up the multiplier and difficulty number for both. So basically this is the steps on how they would do it, and I'm not going to go into any more detail on that because I think that's just a lot of effort to teach, especially if I think this is just a teaser, right? So it's only up for them if they want to know how to do that. I think it's the last thing to do today, just to wrap it up, because there has been a lot of things I've been covering. I'm also going to show exactly how this works for daily quest, and then I'm going to a bit about how we've done loot box drop. I think that's super interesting, and I really want to show you guys how that works. So let's do this in a second. So let's go through daily quest, how this works. There's a lot of properties in here, which I'm going to now delete everything. I'm going to say no reflection. I think that's just too much work for people. So I'm going to delete the reflection bit of it. I'm only going to keep the daily habits, and I'm also only going to keep only 5 of them because I think that's as simple as it can be. So I might even also remove wake up time because I don't think it's necessary, but let's just say meditate, eat breakfast. So I'll keep one example for like eating some meals, right? We're going to delete everything else still. So language training, music practice, everything needs to be deleted. So what we're going to do here is delete that. Actually, if I'm already going to do that kind of view, let's just start here. So I want to add a new view. I'm going to make this into a table, and I'm only going to show the today's date. Otherwise it's going to show everything. Awesome. So I'm only going to show today's date. Add a filter. It's only going to show wake up time is today. Awesome. So let's truncate some stuff. So I'm only going to hide this. I don't think I need reflections at all, so I'm deleting all of that. So no reflections, no 3 words, no completion percentage. Oh, completion percentage is useful actually. And then I'm going to delete everything else. So difficulty number is, I can hide that. This one only is showing me information in terms of dates plus happiness plus etc. But I also think this is irrelevant, so I'm going to hide this for now. I probably might delete that later. We're going to hide this, and we're going to show the progress bar wide. So I'm also going to now delete this 0 so that it doesn't have to show. Perfect. So now it's showing 0%. We don't need reflections completion, so that's deleted. So I'm just really streamlining this so that people don't have to worry too much about it. Show gets hidden. The tag gets hidden. Wake up time, like I said, might be useful, so let's keep wake up time here. So it's for them to keep track of their wake up time. We're gonna delete some of these properties. I think we're going to definitely delete all these reflection properties. So let's do that. So delete that. Let's delete this as well. Let's delete this. And I'm going to show you a really cool formula that's going to show you how I currently add up all these checkboxes so that it's calculating for me exactly how useful how many days I've completed rather for each thing. So let me show you that. So let's keep deleting stuff. I'm gonna keep only 5 habits, so let's make them like 5 cardinal habits that you're currently keeping track of. So let's keep deleting stuff, keep deleting. And I wish there's an easier way to do this, by the way. This is not like the best way, but you know, we can keep going and we'll see. So we'll delete everything that's not necessary here. Finance tracking, delete that. Personal development, let's keep that there. I think for these trackers, like we can just delete all these things. What do you guys think? Should I keep the reflections inside the daily quest, at least for the free version? Like I just my intention is I just don't want to confuse. Like, is it a daily quest tracker or is it a reflection tracker, right? Obviously in our super package we have a lot more detail and thought that goes into the daily quest, and that's all about being intentional. But I really don't want to confuse anybody if they don't care about being intentional, at least in this minute. So that's the thing I'm thinking about right now. You think so, Drew? Okay, well, let's finish this little bit. I know I like the reflections too. My issue is that, you know, yeah, my issue is just that people don't know how that works, and I don't want to confuse or anything about that, right? But yeah, let's figure out how that might work. I like it. I just want to simplify as much as possible. So it's a personal development. I say read a book. Read a chapter or learn something new. Alice. Okay, let's now show how this works. Okay, so I'm gonna open this in a new page just so that I am showing this again side by side like I did before. Like I don't want that to calculate in here. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like if it's not something useful that they're willing to do or they are doing, let's just not calculate it. That's just my thought process there, and not leave it in here because it just might be confusing for them. But I could be definitely wrong here, so I'm happy to listen. Okay, so I'm now loading this up, and you see that there's only 5 quests, just to really make it super simple. Like there's no way that this can get even simpler, right? But basically we have meditate, eat breakfast, today's 5, exercise, write, learn something new. Simple as that, right? So we're gonna do meditate first, and then eat breakfast is next. Today's 5, exercise, write, learn something new. Okay, so let's show you exactly how this formula works. So let's go down into here and let's open up the daily quest. The first formula I'm going to tackle is the multiplier formula. So the multiplier formula is almost the same as in the success plan, but the difference here is that we're actually tracking everything. So let's now delete everything up to meditate, and today's 5. So okay, so we've got meditate going up first. So meditate is up here, and then we're going to have eat breakfast, we're going to have today's 5, we're going to have exercise. I'm going to remove writing, move all the way to writing. But learn something new there as well. So let's do that. So we're going to do write. So exercise, right, learn something new, and that's it. So we simplify this a lot. Perfect. Right, so what happens here basically is now that I have a multiplier formula that's only calculating meditate, eat breakfast, today's 5, exercise, and write. Oh, and we should do learn something new as well. So to number, learn something new. Perfect. So what's happening here is that I'm going to add a code chunk. I'm going to stick that into there. And basically I'm going to say multiplier checks which habits have been done for the day, to number checks if basically translates the checkbox into binary 1 or 0, and also checks if the text property eat breakfast is filled out to also show 1 or 0. At the end, the result is that we will get a sum of 1s or 0s that will tell us exactly how many daily quests have been done for the day. So I think that's actually quite easy to understand, but now that it's really spelled out, maybe it's easier for you guys to also use it in your workspaces however you might want to use it. Next thing is difficulty, or I want to talk about difficulty number first before completion, so let me figure that out first. Actually, no, completion makes sense here first. Sorry. So one thing that I'm going to do differently here that I'm going to show you guys is I'm going to add a new property that says number of daily habits tracked. So number of daily quest tracked, and then we're going to make this into a number. And just give me a second, I want to double check to see what I named this in our super package. So if I open this up, just anyone, awesome. So if I open this up, you'll see that inside here I have a formula, and this one's a lot more complicated, as I've said, which is why we're making that simple version. But basically we have a number of habits, so this is what I want. So let's call it number of habits. So let's call this number of habits. So you'll see that I'm now creating a new one, number of habits. And this is for you to check exactly how many habits you're keeping track of. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 habits that you're keeping track of. So you're gonna say this is a 6. So now I'm gonna double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So basically what you're going to do now is you have a completion percentage. It's tracking how many have you completed out of 6, right? So what we're going to do here, and so instead of hard coding this, we're actually going to say out of 6, so number of habits. So we're going to say here, I'm going to select number of habits times 100. So as I select this, you're going to see 1 out of 6 is 70%, 2 out of 6 is 33, 3 out of 6 is 50. So that's how that formula works. And I know the progress bar isn't matching right now. We're going to fix that right now. So let's now add that in. So completion percentage is doing this. So completion percentage. And this is the code for that. So we have this code. We're now going to paste that in. So divides the number of habits completed today by the number of habits you have defined to be completed every day. Then we multiply by 100 to get the percentage and round it to make sure it is a whole number. So simple as that. When you want to add more daily quests properties to your tracker, you will need to also add the corresponding value as an addition item inside this formula. So that's just something you have to know. Remember to change the number of habits if and when you change the property. If and when you add or remove habits to do. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense. And now I'm going to show you how to do progress bars, because progress bars is also really fun. Oh, sorry, before that, let's do difficulty number. So this one's actually really easy as well. So if we do, well, easy now that I'm explaining it. Difficulty number. And then we're going to show code for that. So I'm going to paste that out. So basically checks if the completion percentage is over 70%, which is my first milestone, to then return 1, then output 1. Otherwise, if 100% completion, output 2. This rolls up into gamification tags to determine how much gold reward you should earn for completing these tasks, these quests. Okay, so that's that. And then let's talk about progress bar, because that's the last thing. So basically, you see here why it's not working well is because it's showing 18 instead of the property for number of habits. So let's add that in here. So everywhere that I see 18, I'm not gonna replace that. So 18, I'm replacing that. 18, I'm replacing that. So now when I do this checkbox, I'm now perfectly matching up. Everything makes sense. And if I complete this to I ate, sandwich, I'm done. So I get a checkbox and I get a star because I'm done for today. So simple as that. So let's now show how that works. So let's take this, let's call it the progress bar. So here we have the progress bar, and then we're gonna show you how that progress bar looks. So we're gonna add this as a code. And if you just joined us, by the way, thank you so much. Give us a hi in the chat if you're enjoying the content so far. Really appreciate having you guys tune in and explaining some of the inner workings of the project with you guys. So the progress bar basically checks the completion percentage, right? So what you could do also, if you don't have a completion percentage, like you could just show completion percentage instead, but because we are multiplying by 100 here, that's why I'm just redoing the calculation. So by dividing the multiplier, the progress bar basically converts the completion percentage into a progress bar. I don't know how to explain this one, but basically like there's this whole like long segment of 10 blocks, and then as the number of the multiplier divided by the number of habits drops or increases rather, then basically we're just slicing from this this chunk of 10 blocks. You don't really have to know too much about it. As long as you know how to manipulate it, I think that's all you need. Basically just know that this is how the progress bar works, and then if you need to change anything, just change you know, the multiplier or the number of habits, which again I've referred to in other places, so that's why it's easier for you to manage if you need to manage it. So yeah, so that's the simple bit of it, and I guess I'll throw in like a quick reflection bit on that, just so that it's easy for people to also have like a reflection category. So because I agree with what Drew's saying, right? We should probably give him at least like happiness today. So it'll be part of the completion for today. So happiness today, let's make that into a select. So what I like to do is, let's make this a happiness, and then let's make it effectiveness as well. So effectiveness. So let's also make this a select, and I'm just gonna pull from here so I don't have to redo my work. So happiness here has a smiley face, so let's take that smiley face also. And then I believe effectiveness has a star rating, so let's take that. And then let me show you how we add. So this is the perfect example. I'm showing you how you can add a new property, a new habit that you're keeping track of. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna select, okay, well, the happiness is just a select based on these different smileys. So let's take this one, we're gonna paste it in, we're gonna create. We're also going to get a few more. So you get a neutral smiley or a smaller smile. We also have a neutral face, so let's take that. We have a neutral face, and then we have a slightly sad face, slightly sad, and then finally we have a crying face. So I'm going to take that as well. Maybe a crying face. And then our effectiveness, we want to now add here. So I'm just going to take this star. I guess it's just star ratings. I think it's really simple. So I'm just going to copy this. 1 star. We're going to show 2 stars. We're going to show 3 stars. We're going to show 4 stars. And then we're going to show 5 stars. So really easy, simple as that. And we can change this color to be just the default so that they all kind of look the same. It's not too overly complicated. But what I'm going to show you here now is that you can keep track of these by simply changing the number of habits to 8, because now you're keeping track of 2 more. And then in your multiplier, you're going to want to add those 2 formulas, so those 2 properties. So you're going to do a plus, and then you're going to get the happiness. You could do another plus, you're going to get the effectiveness. But obviously plus is not good enough, because you need to not to number, but you need to show not empty. So what actually happens here is the best way is to copy this information here, add it to here, take this prop happiness, and then change that here. And then the same thing, take this whole chunk, paste it here, take this prop effectiveness, and then paste it here. So now we have not empty happiness, not empty effectiveness to add on. So basically, now that we have these two, I'm gonna keep selecting, I'm gonna keep selecting, keep selecting. I'm gonna put something there, keep selecting, now I'm 100%. If I take away this, right, then I drop back to 88%. So simple as that. I think that's quite straightforward. Hopefully that made sense to you, and hopefully that gives you insights into how some advanced properties work in Notion. So I've explained daily quest, I've explained success plan, and also I think daily quest has a clock icon, so I'm going to do a clock icon. Clock. Perfect. So this is a clock icon. So that gives you the explanation there, and then those kind of roll up also. So and then gamification tags. I guess I'm gonna spend like maybe 5 more minutes. I know I've been running out of time, but this is such an important thing to teach that I enjoy teaching it. So hopefully you guys enjoy the learning also. But basically, what we're going to do now is just finally cover the gamification leaderboard, how this all works in practice at the very end of it. So let's show you how that works. So we're going to open up the gamification leaderboard in a new page. And then we're going to, actually we're going to say, we're going to make this funny. I want to say, and then what's next? So header, let's make a header here. And then what's next? Easy. Just make a new quest in your task. Just make a new quest. Make a new quest. Start working on your quests and your daily quest, and let the rewards flow in. But if you do want to learn how the code works so you can customize it for yourself, read on below. Okay, so this is the documentation, right? And this is going to be, let's just make it yellow so it stands out. And then we're gonna make this gray so it doesn't stand out as much. So that's gonna be that. The leaderboard, let's talk about that. So the leaderboard is actually quite simple. It's just that it seems complicated because there's a lot of formulas, but the formulas are mostly just there to present information. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Are mainly utilized to present information more visually by adding labels to content. Let's show you what we mean. So what do we mean by that? So when I open up, let's say your avatar, and this one shouldn't lag too much, but basically what we're showing here is that there's a bunch of titles. So any title property, the title, the formulas with the suffix title are mainly utilized to present information. So we're not going to cover that too much, but basically all we're doing is just saying, hey, you know, add the level and the joystick icon to the text of the level, right? So we're adding that information. Or else if it's 0, if the information is 0, then we show private. That's all it is basically. But what I want to showcase here, and what I think is really important to know, is we're showcasing the number of experience to level and then building on the experience to next level. So how does that work? So we're saying that, hey, experience to level is just across the board. So it's just a formula, but you don't really need to worry about that. But basically what we're saying is that for the experience to next level, it's over here. So EXP to next level, and then this becomes code. We're pasting this in. So multiplies by the EXP to level, multiplies the EXP to level times the current level plus 1, subtracting the experience earned already, and then multiplying by actually this looks a bit weird. Let me take a quick look at this. So what's happening here is that there's math coming in. We're pulling in the experience that's earned currently from the total experience. That's fine. And then we're calculating this based on the level that we're currently in. Now, how is this level calculated? Well, this level is calculated by showing this. Okay, so I think this needs to be done this way. I need to show you guys a level first. So for the level number property, so level number property, let's make that into code. So basically we say, okay, so checks, so level number checks if experience earned is not 0, then have the experience earned subtract the prestige number multiplied by the experience. Actually, I think prestiging is too complicated right now, so I'm going to remove prestiging from this entirely. So let's remove prestiging. And for you guys that don't know what prestiging is, basically it's a concept of like if you hit level 50, you want to reset, because just leveling up forever to 50, 100, 200 doesn't mean anything really to you. But prestiging essentially gives you like a checkpoint in life. You're saying that, hey, you know, when I hit level 50, I want to reset everything. I want to think about what's happened in the past, and I want to keep track of how many times I've prestiged, so that I know that, hey, these are the many different checkpoints for my life that I have gone through and, you know, improved myself on. But for this case, I'm going to remove prestige because I think it's too complicated to demonstrate and show. I don't want anything complicated, as I mentioned earlier. It's simply just to show people how this might work. So remove everything there. Also this, just in case I have that 0 thing still. I do, so I'm going to remove that 0. Okay, perfect. So now that there's no prestige, so I'm going to delete this prestige as well. And then now we're going to say exp to next level is simply times that minus exp earned. No need to add any of this, so this bit gets taken out, a lot more easier. And then same thing for, I think, the level number, so remove the prestige bit of it. Okay, cool. So let's copy that over, and these are the last two formulas we're going to go through today. I think we went through a lot of material. I think a lot of minds are exploding, so hopefully you know, you guys can take this into action after this. But basically the level checks if the experience earned is not 0, then have the experience earned divided by the experience to level, basically. So what we're saying here is that if our experience earned, let's say, was in this case 221, and I divide by exp2 level, which is 500, then or sorry, not divide, but that's level, right? So yeah, so the level, so divide, so obviously I'm not leveling up yet because I'm only half of that. And then for experience to next level, it's really simple. It's just this number subtracted by this number. So let me show you how that works. So let's show this. So basically, so it multiplies the exp to level times the current level plus 1. So this is actually legacy code because we used to have a different level scaling for every single level moving forward. Right now it's the same, it's always going to be 500 flat. But if this helps you have the expansion property so that if we keep moving on, then, you know, it'll be 500, 1,000, whatever. So you're calculating how much experience to the next level. But either way, we can subtract by experience earned, and then to demonstrate, to calculate how much experience you need to level up. So there's that. And I think the very final thing is just also showing the gold balance, which is just showing the proper, it's really easy. So we're just showing the gold balance there. So that's super simple. The level up bar, also I don't think I need to explain this too much because you already seen the level up bar, but just in case you do want that, I'll just add that in here as well. So let's call this level up bar, and then we put a code here, and then we say level up bar basically checks builds a formula. What I explain on the other side. This is just a very simple explanation. Yeah, converts XP earned into a progress bar. That's all. Okay, I think that's a lot of information covered. Is there any question that you guys have about all these formulas I've discussed? Like, you know, maybe even like if you guys want more ideas on how to put it into practice, I'm happy to answer those. Just let me know if you have any more questions. Otherwise, I think that was a really long session already, and I wanted to go over some other stuff as well. But anyway, the next time you come onto this page, what I'm going to be showing, what you'll see, and I'll probably be working on this in the next few hours as well anyway, but I'm going to be adding a theme into here. I'm going to be also cleaning up this a little bit just to make it look a little bit better, so you know, easier to view and see and all those kind of things. Another thing here is that there is a property here that actually would show you the happiness and effectiveness, so I like that. So that's also going to be something that is ending up going to be showcased here, so that's going to be pretty good. Yeah, so really happy to have built with you guys today. Hope you learned something useful. I really wanted to show the loot box mechanism as well, but I think I'll do that another time. You'll definitely see it in the updates for next week, so maybe I'll present it in next week's build with me. But yeah, what vids are a good starting point on my channel for a noob? Well, Colby, I think like depends what you're trying to accomplish. The thing about building in Notion is that it's always infinitely easier if you have like a template to start, and that's usually the way I think about it. We have a lot of templates already. If you go to Co-x3.com, Co-x3 oh my gosh, let me just type it out. So if you go to co-x3.com/toolbox, there's a bunch of really useful templates for free that you can check out, and those would help you learn a lot about coding in Notion in general. But I also would say that if you're looking for like, and there's also really basic implementations too, like the meal planner is like the easiest example I can think of, or even the time box scheduler. You know, those are really good ways to learn how to get started. But I would also suggest, like, you know, a lot of the videos that I share is more about the understanding behind the fundamentals of why I've designed something in a certain way. I think the biggest and the hardest part about Notion is that it usually is the first thing that people are introduced to when they're thinking about systems thinking. A lot of people have not dealt with databases before in their life, and if you treat it as just a simple note-taking app, you might get a bit surprised in terms of like what you can do and what you thought it might do and what you should do, that kind of thing. Like, a lot of the work I'm doing right now is educating you on the systems thinking point of view, on how you would necessarily structure things and, you know, put things where. Do I use this as a column or do I use it as a row in terms of the properties? So those are the kind of things that I'd say on my channel you'd be able to learn. And of course, when you go into detailed implementations like this, I'll show you exactly how I think about things in terms of you know, the formulas, rollups, relations, stuff like that. But if you have any specific questions in terms of like, you know, specific videos that you want to learn about or specific topics, feel free to let me know, especially in the community. We always welcome more insights, and if you have those kind of insights, then I can definitely cover them next time, especially for you. So just let me know. Yeah, and if you guys want to join the community, it's just right here. We're at co-x3.com. This is where we have discussions. We have, you know, all things. We have a meaningful spaces for us to kind of chat in and hang out and basically just have a really good time. And if you're ever feeling up for it, join us. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful rest of the week. We have videos coming out in around 12 hours, so stay tuned for that. Be subscribed if you haven't done that already, and please give me a like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. Please take care, guys.